old guy on the program, so I don't have all the bells and whistles that you'll look at when Brother Tariq comes up. So the best that I can do is say a few things and entertain your questions and your concerns so that we all can benefit. I will learn, and Brother Tariq, and all of the knowledge and experience that he has, we will learn from you, inshallah, as much as you may gather from what we will share with you this morning. I want to just share just a little personal anecdote to begin with, to make a point, to start this discussion about engaging our colleagues and our neighbors in Dawah. I embraced Islam as a senior in university. And I was away from home, living away from home for the first time, like most college students who go away to another city and attend a college other than in their hometown. And the city that I was living in was Washington, D.C. And in Washington, D.C., you have a kind of microcosm, just a small slice of the entire world. Everyone comes to Washington, people from all over the earth. I was fortunate enough to attend a university with a very large foreign student population. When I embraced Islam, I embraced through an organization called the Islamic Party in North America, an organization that was committed to Dawah. Because at that time, there were not a lot of people going out talking to their neighbors and people in the community about Islam. There were Muslims in this country, but the Muslims were not actively involved publicly talking to people about Islam. But this particular organization had as its primary mission to tell others about Islam. After a few months, the leader of the organization perhaps recognized, well, this guy doesn't know when to shut up and stop talking, so let me give him some responsibility where he has to talk. And I became the head of a Dawah team. And this Dawah team walked the streets and rode the streets of Washington, D.C. for 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, for the only purpose of talking to people about Islam and inviting them to submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I frame and start this discussion with this because I want to emphasize that no matter what techniques we develop, no matter what we do, whether we're talking to individuals or we're talking to crowds or we're talking to thousands and millions of people on the internet, we must always tweak and try to change and make better what it is that we're doing. There's never a point that we should arrive when we think that we can't do something better. And let me briefly tell you how I and those people with this Dawah team learned that what we were doing, no matter how enthusiastic we were about it, no matter how loudly we were proclaiming the oneness of Allah, it was a bad technique. We used to go as part of our daily activities, go into downtown Washington, D.C. on K Street. And we would get in front of this, at that time, a big department store called Woodward and Lothrop. And there were so many shoppers that were just coming back and forth all the time. K Street was one of the areas and continues to be one of the areas that is kind of an upscale area in Washington, in the downtown area. So we had a wide selection of people to approach and talk to about Islam. But for so long, our approach to talking to the people about Islam was to stand on the corner with the publication that we produced called Al-Islam and to almost holler at the people who were passing down the street. There's no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Right? Now we're new Muslims, all enthusiastic, so we had to share this wonderful message with the people, so we were screaming and hollering at the people. And we did this for a long time, and some people were bold enough or not frightened enough to actually allow us to approach them. But I would dare say that the majority of the people was like, those dudes are crazy. And let me get as far away from these people as I possibly can. But we thought, because we had the right intention, the eye was good, we thought that this was an effective way. Boom your big voice out as loud as you can in the most crowded area, and this way we would get the message of Allah out to the people. But one day, a homeboy of mine from Winston-Salem happened to be in downtown Winston, and in downtown D.C. when we were down there, and he pulled me to the side and he asked me, "Why are you standing there? Are you on drugs? Are you high? Are you drunk? Have you lost your mind? I knew you back in Winston-Salem. I know the kind of personality that you have. This is not even your personality. Why are you screaming at people on this corner? People think you're crazy. Why are you doing this?" So we had to retool from that moment. The Dawa team and I went back to the masjid and we decided, well, maybe this isn't the best way to do it. Maybe there's a better way to do it. So the first point that I want to make is that we have to continue, no matter what technique we discuss, no matter what you're using already, no matter what you've read or been told, if it's not working, and it doesn't mean that how you determine whether it's working or not is how many shahadas that you give. That's not the standard that we should use for dawah in terms of whether or not our dawah is working or being effective. But we have to look at how many people are we reaching, and they are taking the time to listen to what it is that we're saying, and we are engaging them, and they are engaging us, not necessarily in a debate, but in a responsible discussion about Islam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to continually, and you will see a lot of the do's and do nots in the presentation, in the PowerPoint, but we have to always be ready to change, to grow. As Brother Harun has said, that a lot of things that may have worked somewhere else may not work here. Certain things and attitudes that and ways of dawah that we present in New York may not work down here in the Bible Belt in Charlotte, North Carolina. So, first point, again, be ever ready to learn from others and change and look for best practices. And no matter how long we've been doing what we're doing, always be ready to change and embrace other ideas. Like the things that Brother Tariq will share with you, that you can see certain things. Well, maybe we're not doing this in Charlotte, but maybe we should consider doing these things in Charlotte. The second point is that every one of us, and especially our young guys here, every one of us is a da'i. From the moment that someone knows that you are Muslim, no matter where you go to school, when someone identifies you as a Muslim, then you become a da'i. And becoming a da'i simply means that whether you have identified yourself or someone has identified you as a Muslim. Let me share this. For a number of years, I've worked in public schools. And in the public schools, it's almost embarrassing. It is embarrassing